Thank you. I'd like to call to order the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee for the Village of Hoffman Estates on this December 11th, 2017. May we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Stanton.
Present.
Vice Chairman Arnett.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
We have a quorum. Looking for approval of the minutes of November 13th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Anybody notice any corrections or deletions that need to be made? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. New business, we have 7 items. First, request by the Hoffman Estates Park District for A, an extension of the Chino Park Intergovernmental Agreement to December 18th, 2037, and B, a site plan approval for community garden plots.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Gentlemen, do you want to lead us through this?
The Hoffman Estates Park District has an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Hoffman Estates, which effectively is a lease of Chino Park. It's currently a 20-year lease with a 20-year extension. Within that intergovernmental agreement, it provides that should the Park District wish to do any improvements to the park, that it would need to come, or change in uses, that it would need to come before the village board for approval. The Park District went through a community survey, and one of the things that came out of that survey was more community garden plots. As the board knows, the village has 2 different locations that we use for garden plots. We sell out, if you will. The Park District thought, based on the results of their community survey, that the property more or less immediately due south of Fire Station 21 would be a good location for some garden plots, and that is the request. As part of that, they'd like to renew the intergovernmental agreement to start for a fresh 20-year period now. It would still have the potential of a 20-year extension, 20 years from now, and we would be happy to respond to any other questions. Mr. Bostrom is in the audience if you also have any questions for the Park District.
I noticed that initially they're talking about less than 24 plots, but I noticed on the picture that I'm showed here, proposed garden plots, it looks like there's 24 plots on here. Perhaps Mr. Bostrom could explain what that all means.
There's, yeah,
Dean, you want to give your name for the record?
Dean Bostrom, Hoffman Estates Park District.
And you got an address for us besides Park District?
Yes, I do, 2030 Hassel Road.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, originally we had, there was 4 ADA plots, which the ADA plots are really, we have a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout project that's actually building planters. So accessible beds for ADA are really 3 feet high or 2.5 feet high, so somebody can walk up to them. So you see those in the diagram there. And then there was, we were approached from that initial drawing about having plots made available where we could have people volunteer. They wouldn't have to pay. They would garden those. There's 4 additional plots there off to the side. They would be available so that we could have volunteers in the community grow and then donate to the food pantries. It's kind of as a cooperative type effort. There was interest expressed by a number of people that would be willing to volunteer to take care of the gardens and donate the produce to the food pantries.
I'm noticing also in that picture that there seems to be future growth which would encompass the ball field.
And that is strictly, which I won't be here for, but in a year from now, after they go through the summer, they'll evaluate to see things, how it went, what kind of demand there was. So there's no, what we're coming to you tonight for, it does not take into consideration the future development. It just shows that it has the potential. Right now, the ball fields are not impacted. They still are programmed and used by community groups at this time. And that would be a decision. It just has that potential. Doesn't mean that we're going to do it. And if we did do it, if we did decide we wanted to try to do it, we would be standing back before you to talk about that.
Well, I can tell you one person that wouldn't be happy with that, and that would be me. But that's just to start with. Any other questions up here? None? Yes, trustee Mills.
Do we have any kind of a condition in here? Or with this, what is in here with the expansion, that would cover, so it would have to come back before the village board?
Yes, ma'am. Any change, additional change, the only thing that was being asked for approval tonight is those community garden plots and the change in the dates.
And it looks like they'd be pretty well hidden back, because they're back behind the fire station and behind the school. So it wouldn't be that visible of an issue at this point. Yeah, as long as they did not expand beyond that without approval.
And condition number 2 actually mentions that as well.
Yeah,
just
that's
to
what I was
make
just
sure-
looking
Just to
at.
highlight it.
Yeah, because I'd hate to see Chino Park,
The intention
Totally
is to
change.
turn it into a big garden.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Is there anybody from the audience that wishes to address us? Yes, Mr. Frank?
Ed Frank, 694 Illinois Boulevard, Hoffman Estates.
I'm glad you know the routine.
Bill, Karen, I didn't come here when the Park District built those atrocious signs all in the 3 parts of the village, and hope you appreciate that and take that into consideration when you're listening to me tonight.
Okay, Ed, go ahead.
I'm rather concerned that they're going to put a farm up there, which is going to be 60 by 100 feet. I know it's hidden behind the fire station and the school, but we have a tremendous amount of traffic on Illinois Boulevard and on Bodie Road in those areas. During the summertime, when the parks are going to be used for recreation, which is essentially what parks are for, we're going to have that traffic with kids all over the place. In addition, we have a problem down in that area with skunks and coyotes. And this garden plot, this farm, is just going to increase the problems that we have next to a school that does summer school all the time, and also where the Children's Advocacy Center is. Now, they say they're going to grow vegetables and stuff. Well, heck, to grow tomatoes, you need cages, and these things will be standing up in the area. Well, I don't know if they're going to farm corn, they're going to have stalks sticking up. This is a recreational area. It's not a farm area. Now, the people who want those things, want to come down and use the park, aren't from that area. They're going to be from all over the village. The people in that area who want to farm in their backyards. All those properties are at least a quarter of an acre. So they have lots of room in their backyards to do that, and they're able to keep the animals away, and of course, they don't attract the traffic. So when you're deciding on what to do, bear in mind that there's a whole bunch of kids all summer long playing in that area. And it's just not in the park, it's on those scooter boards and everything else, bicycles. I ride my tricycle up in that area, and I find it difficult because people almost run me down, and I'm not a small person. So please, reject this plan. It's not needed, it's not necessary. Thank you.
Ed, you say you ride a tricycle?
Yeah.
How big is this tricycle? I'm getting kind of shades of, what was it, laughing?
It's large enough for me. It costs $280.
Yeah.
So, but it's for an adult.
It's a bigger
You're right.
bike,
I
okay.
pulled down one of the kids' regular bicycles and went across the street into the church parking lot. And that ride lasted about 3 seconds, and I decided I was safer on a tricycle rather than on a bicycle.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Thanks for asking. Thank you.
I have to ask a question. Did anybody notify St. Hubert's as to that this was going to go in behind the school?
The Park
Park District
District,
did? Okay. Did they come to any of the meetings, Dean?
No. They
Okay,
did get an invitation, though.
okay, thank you.
Just the area, and the reason why we chose this area was it doesn't impact the current recreation programming that's that's located within the park. The area that's back behind, there's a fairly small area. It's not large enough to put a ball field. It's not large enough. It has the fire station right there. It has the parking lot on the one side, just asphalt around the different sides of it. And as far as recreation is not just athletics, different people. Gardening is a leisure pursuit. It's something that people do therapeutic, they do it for recreation. You can't simply box people's recreation into athletics and traditional type leisure pursuits. Gardening is a leisure pursuit for people, and one of the reasons why we picked this location too is that if you look at Bodie Road, I believe it's Bodie Road, that if you go north of Bodie Road, all of the housing is multifamily housing where they do not have the yard space available. They do not have yards, period, to be able to put garden plots in. So we wanted to be near multifamily housing, which there are. If you look on a map, there's a whole series of, on both sides of what's that road that winds through where Community Park is there?
What, Grand Canyon?
Grand Canyon.
Yeah, Grand Canyon. On both sides of Grand Canyon is multifamily housing, which
Right.
leads right up into Chino Park. It's about a 3-block walk for those individuals.
Yes, trustee Gata first.
Yeah, Dean, what do they charge for the plots?
Same thing you guys do. I think it's
Okay,
$25.
what is that number, though,
I think $25 for the year.
for the year?
Yeah.
And that covers the water also? Okay, thank you.
Yes, trustee Palafis.
How many plots do we have next to Fire Station 23?
I'd have to ask Mr. Nebel. I don't remember
There's 30,
exactly.
there's
Rough
30
guess.
and 20. You have 50 plots total.
So we have 50.
Yeah,
30 at 23, 20 at Valid?
yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
And-
Out on the first day.
We haven't had any problems that are being described in those locations, have we?
No, none that have been reported. I mean, Public Works does have to go in each year at the end of the season and help clean up the dead plants. Many of the people that take out the plots do it. There are some that don't, but it's not one day's work. It's, they go in, it's pretty quick to clean it up and make it nice again. And I'm sure the Park District would do the same thing if there's an issue.
And that's essentially what you're proposing,
Yes.
like what's next to 23. And
Prep it the same way you guys prep it, and at the end of the year, we would, in fact, there was a date where, I think we established a date. I think we used, we have a copy of your guidelines, and we're kind of using those as the guidelines to go by, where there's a cutoff date where they have to either, they're done gardening, and if they haven't cleared out the area, we're gonna clear the area at that point and prep it for the following year.
do we know the ratio between residents and non-residents for ours? Roughly? It's all residents?
We need the
Bill, you
mic.
should get to a microphone.
Sorry, Mark.
They're all Hoffman Estates residents, but as far as their proximity to the garden plots, the current plots we have on Valid are way more popular than the ones up north. So the ones in South Hoffman sell out pretty quick, and then we'll actually have residents that live in that area that drive to the garden plots up north to reserve a plot.
And it's predominantly fruits and vegetables, no corn or sunflowers or...
No, once in a while you'll have some of that, and there's some other, I don't know, things, I don't know what. they're growing. We
I'm only asking because
we
we
just tried
have
to
'em.
discern between weeds and something not weeds. So.
Well, what I'm doing is trying to compare, because I read all of your reports of the people that, and their concerns.
But they are fruits and vegetables or
Yes.
flowers.
Yes.
They're-
As far as we know.
I saw somebody this last year had pole beans.
Mary?
They're a little bit taller. They go up higher. They use
Yeah.
a mesh netting to have them, grow
Okay.
on.
Thank you. That was all I had.
Hold on, Ed, I have a question for Dean myself. What happens if you don't get the response that you expect? In other words, only 4 plots fill out or something like that?
We
Would you
definitely won't-
decide not to,
We won't be expanding for sure.
would you continue it, though, is the other question.
Probably not. I mean, if we look at it just because of the resources we put into it, it's not anything that we generate money off of, but there is, as your staff can testify, there's labor that goes into prepping the sites. So we would assume that, we want to make sure we're covering our costs, otherwise the taxpayers are subsidizing, the labor to prepare those areas. I think we fully expect, because we're not doing that many initially, that we would sell out or come close to selling out, just based on, it's my understanding, you guys sell out the first day. I've heard like 45 minutes is sold out, so.
We've had requests to put more in.
Okay. Mr. Frank, you wish to address this again?
I just wanted to add one thing that came to mind. I know where they want to build this, but who's going to watch it? People are going in and out from all over into that area. Somebody's going to start picking those vegetables. Somebody's got to watch them when these people aren't there guarding them.
Well, I assume there's a problem at the other locations,
Yeah,
too, or
sure.
not, depending
But-
on what happens.
This is even more so when you're going to have people sneaking around doing it.
We haven't had complaints about it. I'm sure it does happen.
Absolutely.
It is garden at your own
Risk.
in terms of whether or not you get to harvest what you,
That's a real thing.
that somebody else harvests your ripe tomatoes, that's the risk of doing it at a public garden plot. But I think I've had one call about the garden plots in the years I've been here, and it was about wanting more, not about any of the other issues.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address this? Yes. Please come forward. And could you give us your name and address, please?
My name is Van Burns. I live at 705 Evanston Street, Hoffman Estates. First time I've ever been before the board.
Well, welcome then.
When I wake up in the morning, I open up the shades in the front. I have the back of the firehouse. I have the garbage cans for St. Hubert's. I have the soccer nets from the school. I have the advocacy center, and I've had since August a big lump of mud where they started dumping piles of dirt back in, I'm assuming, around August. They dumped about 5 loads there. They dumped a few more, and as of right now, there's still just a lump of mud. It doesn't seem like the park district really wants to make this thing look nice. They're just going to leave a big lump of mud sitting in my front yard. It is literally my front yard, and it's through the park, right behind the school. And I understand that people want to have gardens. I'm a horticulture major, but one of the things my teacher always told me that they never had gardens because their parents made them have to go out and weed, and nobody wants to go out and weed, especially in the summer. It's an older neighborhood. This is the old section of Hoffman. I mean, these are people who are in their 80s. There's not going to be a lot of gardening people, I think. He was mentioning animals before. I know we do have a coyote, but the skunk population has not been as bad this year, but we have had times when there have been unbelievable skunks. We have, 3 weeks ago, we had 3 of them on our back deck, so they're around. It's just a point where I can't see them wanting to put in another garden plot when even they're having a hard time keeping the park looking as nice as they try to. There's times when it's not mowed, they send the big mower in, and then 3 days later, they send the trimming mowers in. Or when they want to cut it short for the soccer players. I mean, this field goes through a lot of use, and just having this garden plot in the back, I think is just going to be a major eyesore. They're talking about if you're putting in my garden plot, well, I want to differentiate yours from mine. So what barrier am I going to put in? Am I going to put in an orange screen fence? Am I going to put in lattice work? And what happens is I'm going to look across the street and see this mess. And I think that's what's going to happen. It's just going to become a large mess, which is adding to the rest of the stuff that's back there in this park. I understand that, you know, Valley's a block away. If they want vegetables, have them go to the store. It's right there. But to have all this dug up, and like I said, if you go there, we have in the morning, there's a lot of the traffic for the school for St. Hubert's. There's not a lot of softball playing as there had been in the past, but, you know, for usage of what that little patch of the park, it is behind the fire station, it is behind the ballpark between the school, but here again, there's no water back there. I don't know if, I was here late, I didn't know if they had talked about bringing water in, but I just got a feeling that people are gonna go back there, they're gonna start their garden and say, you know what, I don't think it's worth it, and they're just gonna leave it, and it's gonna become a major eyesore. And in that older section of Hoffman Estates, there are enough eyesores as right now. There's a lot of houses that are in need of a lot of work. And I think this is just adding to the village trying to make itself look nice and not add another eyesore to it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to address us on this topic? Any other questions up here? Yes, Trustee Palamas.
Hey, Dean, based on the extension, could you talk about what the Park District's plan is, master plan-wise for Chino? Is there one?
There's in 2018, the current one expires, and they're going through that process again. They were going to, Chino's been identified to come up with a long-term plan at that point. So there isn't anything beyond what you see before you right now. And as far as water goes, we have been working with Public Works. There is access where we would meter the, and have water available, similar to what you guys have at your garden plots.
How do you plan on delineating the spots?
There's a wood chip area that's between each one, which is similar to what you guys do. So in each thing is a boxed area, and then there's wood chip path between each one, so you have them delineated by the wood chip areas.
Thank you.
Trustee Mills.
Where will the water be coming from?
Go ahead.
We currently have water that runs back where the Children's Advocacy Center is tapped off of. It's from the rear of the building. So we have water back there. We just have to tap the water main.
Would they have a separate meter then that they would be handling?
It doesn't come off the CAC service line.
Or
It's
the
the
fire
main that
station.
serves the CAC.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second, but we have a Part A and a Part B. So I would ask that we have an each individual vote on each part rather than combined. Oh, sure. Come on up.
There are
No, at the microphone, please.
There are also an awful lot of squirrels. When the squirrels start digging into the gardens, what are they going to do to those? Are they going to kill them off? Are they going to trap them? Because we probably have at least 8 to 10 squirrels in our backyard every morning. So I don't know. I know that they are pesky. They like to get into people's tomato plants. Sunflowers, I'm sure, are a favorite, but we have a neighbor that actually used to bring us vegetables from his garden. He doesn't do it so much anymore. It's just that, I don't know if people just fall out of not wanting to have a garden, or just it becomes too much of a weekend chore, I guess. But like I said, it seems like my mother was actually the one that tried to knock down, or came up and talked to you about not putting in the salt shed back in the day, which they were planning on putting back there. So when we come up here to the village saying that this is really an eyesore for us, it really is. I mean, it is our front yard. And we see it every day.
Okay,
Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
all right, we have a Part A and a Part B. Let's take one at a time.
Isn't there already a motion and a second?
There is.
There is a motion and a
Yeah.
second.
Need to have
There
a
is.
motion.
For A and B, you need to separate them.
Remand,
Well-
or taken out, redo it.
Yeah, could we ask that the motion maker and the second take it back in the sense that we have separate motions?
Yes, we can do that. I'll take it back.
Okay, and does the second agree?
Gary.
Am I the second? Yes. I'll
I'm
withdraw.
not sure who was the second anymore.
So long ago, I forget.
It was.
Then I'll make a motion for item A, which is an extension of the Chino Park intergovernmental agreement to December 18th, 2037.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
I also make a motion for the approval of a site plan for a community garden plot subject to the following conditions. Number one, a permit will be required for any new paving for the project. Number two, any change or expansion of the approved garden plot layout will require approval from the village board beforehand.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed?
Opposed.
Nay. I guess we better take a roll call on that.
Chairman Stanton.
No?
Vice Chairman Arnett.
No.
Trustee Mills.
No.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
No.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye.
All right, motion failed. All right, number two, request by Mr. Ace LLC, doing business as Hoffman Estates Ace, for approval of an incentive agreement for the Ace Hardware Store in the Crossroads Commons Shopping Center.
Second.
Thank you. Mark or Kevin, do you want to take us through what's going on here?
Sure. Since Ace closed its doors several years ago up on Algonquin Road, it's been a village board goal here, and actually one of the most requested retailers to come back into town. Recently, probably within the past year, a little over a year ago, staff started working with the shopping center owner of the shopping center at the corner of Golf and Higgins there, as well as with the owners of the franchise at that location. And opening the hardware store was contingent on the Cook County Class C, 7C property tax reduction for that property to offset some of those higher Cook County property taxes. That's often been a barrier for hardware stores within Cook County. And that was also approved by the board here a year ago, and then subsequently approved by Cook County in March. The new hardware store also at that time had requested a sales tax incentive, and that was, staff started working with them, indicating that every incentive would be evaluated and considered. That formal request was made in July, but actions here were delayed just as they wanted to get the store up and running before the fall, and especially before the winter months here. So as we kind of laid out, there's a few other points in there in your packet, in terms of kind of some justifications for why, as I mentioned, typically hardware stores cannot pay the higher retail sales tax prices or retail tenant leasing prices. And as such, that's why you've seen a lot of them leave Cook County, especially the ones that haven't been established real long. But again, this site is the hole in the donut that Ace Hardware liked it so much that they did approve it. And as I said, we've been working with the owners for a while now. They see the value in bringing this back to the community, and that's why they wanted to make that commitment here. And And as such, they've told us, but for this incentive, the ACE won't be able to stay open, just because of the economics of the deal that they have, and particularly this site, which is just over 17,000 square feet, is larger than a typical ACE. Usually ACEs are in the 8 to 12,000 square foot range. So if you figure you're paying rent on 12,000 square feet and you're barely making it work in Cook County, now you're having to add an extra 5,000 square feet. While you may be able to make a few extra dollars on the products you can put in that 5,000 square feet, it's not typically enough to cover that, especially with, like I said, the higher property taxes. So then, just to kind of go through the agreement itself, it's the standard language we've used in previous agreements. The terms here, though, this would be for 10 years, starting in January 2018, with an end date of December 31st, 2027. And the rebate is capped each year by a percentage. So as you can see within the packet, the percentages are laid out each year, but overall, on the average, it would be 50% over that 10-year period. The village isn't fronting any of the portion of the incentive. It's all going to be a pay-as-you-go thing like we typically do. And after paying that percentage, the village would keep the net sales tax paid out each year. So if you have any other questions, I'd be happy. Also, the shopping center owner and the two gentlemen, the franchisees, are also here as well for questions if you have.
At the end of the 10-year agreement, do they have the right to come back and ask for another extension or another agreement? Okay. Trustee Mills?
Couple things. First of all, now, these figures of the estimated municipal sale, estimated revenue to them, or projected annual rebate, it would not exceed that. If by some great thing they've made more money than that, it's capped at this amount, or can it exceed that?
No, it's not. So a typical ACE, and you guys can speak to this too, but a typical ACE, maybe around $1 million is kind of what they would project. And if you're doing real good, you might sell $2 million a year in sales. It isn't capped, so if they just blow it out of the water one year and do $2.5 million, $3 million in sales, they would see that benefit. And that's kind of the incentive for them to keep pushing and to keep doing better. The idea was if you cap them, then once they get to $2 million in sales, if they don't have as much incentive to keep going.
But yet that would shorten possibly the length of the incentive, correct? Do we have? Because the 168,000, which is the 10-year
I see what you're saying, a cap on the total 10 years.
Right.
That isn't the case. In this case, they were looking more for something for a 10-year period.
Haven't we capped things, though, in the past?
We have, yeah.
Okay.
Trustee Mills, the difference on this one is that the other ones, this was a specific recruitment for a specific
I understand that.
person that the village really went out to get. They see this more as an ongoing operating subsidy versus the other ones we dealt with. Most of the time, it was to help offset the initial investment. And that's why we capped it. So in this one, there was a request not to cap it. Obviously, that's up to the committee and the board. And potentially conversation with the operators. But on this one, no, we did not put because you're right, typically it's a percentage in a year, but they can exceed that, but then there's a cap on the overall
Right.
dollar amount through the term of the agreement.
Yeah,
We didn't do that, we just did X number of years on this one.
I definitely am glad with it. They've come to town and that they're working with us. I just don't want to set a bad precedent for other companies coming in. That's my concern. The other question I had, if they do not meet that, they will only get the 2% of whatever they do actually meet in sales dollars. So it doesn't mean, and God forbid they don't make $1 million, the one in year 2019, where they're projected to get, 15,000? And they don't hit that, then we would not automatically give them the 15. They would still get whatever based on
Yes,
whatever their sales
correct.
are.
If their sales were $500,000, 500,000, they would get that 75%
Okay.
of the 2% for that time
Explain
period.
to me, let me find it here, the cease of operations. So it says here that if at any time within 3 years, the final payment, so that means, and that's on page 3. So that means at 3 years after the 10 years.
Yes.
What if they cease operations during the 10-year period? Do we have any coverage in that?
Yes, the way we've structured this, and this is a provision that we've had in the other incentives. So any time during the term plus the 3 years, if they cease operations,
Okay.
we would seek to recoup.
Okay, as long as it's understood to be that way. And we would recoup everything that we had given them? Is that what you're saying?
That's the intent.
Okay. All right, that's understood to you gentlemen also? Okay. Just if you can,
I mean, I would like, I don't think I've seen the specific language
okay,
yet.
okay.
Trustee Palafis?
Did this site receive a 6 or a 7 from the county?
7C, which is a 5-year program aimed specifically for shopping centers that have more than 50% vacancy, to try and revitalize them and get something back in there so that they're fully occupied as they are now.
So this would be in addition
In addition to
the
that.
Cook County 7?
Yeah.
And if we don't pass it, you're going to leave? Is that, did I hear that right?
They've never said that, Trustee Palafis. What they did say from the very beginning is that, that they would have a very difficult time meeting the expenses, the cost of taxes and real estate in Cook County without both. And very early on in our discussions with them, it was indicated that we would strongly look at both. In fact, I know at the ICSC, when we talked to ACE, that was one of the prime things that was talked about by them to the village, would we do this? What was never finalized until recently was what was the scope, how much, what would the percentages be? We did describe what we typically do and have done in the past.
And the credit's going to be against operating expense? It's not going to be to drive further revenue? Am I understanding that correctly?
It's, the goal is to always to drive further revenue, but the amount is based upon what they actually do in the year. So if they sell
Understood.
$1.8 million gross, there's 2% sales tax on that comes to the village, they'll get the percentage that they get per the agreement in each of the years.
I'm a full believer of incentive drives behavior. So does the behavior then, what are you going to do with that incentive to drive revenue?
Marketing, which is basically in the operating expense. So marketing is part of the operating expense.
So you actually have a separate line item marketing budget
Absolutely.
that this will contribute to?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we should get your names for the record and your address.
Rushi Shah, 675 West Golf Road, Hoffman Estates.
Mike Patel, 675 West Gulf Road, Hoffman Estate.
Thank you. Trustee Newell?
I just have one question. On that flow chart that's on there, it says 12/5/2017, and then it says version 2. Is there another version? Did I miss something?
There was, but they were internal versions that we were sharing with these gentlemen. They didn't like the other version. They were very, very close to each other. We gave them 2 different versions to look at. They chose version 2. It really meant nothing to the village. It was a minor change in percentage in one of the years.
Oh, okay.
To be blunt, Trustee Newell, we probably had 8 to 10 different versions over the several months that we worked on this with them.
As we typically do with an incentive like this, Mark and I have a spreadsheet where we'll kind of change those percentages to fit the project. And so in this case, we were trying to hit this 50% number, and it was just kind of playing around with different, the percentages. Is it heavy loaded or even? Yes,
This is the final version.
Yeah.
Because
This
it
is.
says
Yep.
version 2, and
Yep.
then I'm like,
Yep.
well, does it say final, or is this?
We should
still-
change them from now on to say final version.
And change it
I'm
in the
just
document that goes to the board next week.
We will, okay.
Any other questions up here? Any questions from the audience out there regarding this project? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3. Oh, by the way, this will go in front of the board on next week?
Next
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah, next Monday. should have said that also to Dean. Hopefully he remembers that we have a board meeting for the same project on the 18th.
I'll call him.
Okay. Yes.
And
Mr.
of
Chairman.
course, staff will have the agreement signed before it comes to the board.
Thank you. 3, request approval of an amendment to the purchase and sale agreement with SVAP Hoffman Plaza 4 LP for the sale of 75 to 85 East Gulf Road, retroactive to December 6th, 2017.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you want to tell us about this one?
Yes, and to Corporation Counsel's point, I've been assured that we'll have a signed copy of this one by Wednesday or Thursday this week. We had a very good meeting with Sterling a week ago today to discuss the plans for the former Shell, the former Burger King, and the 2 outlots. I think there's 2 outlots by Burlington. And what Sterling would like to propose for those parcels. And then we talked about the timing of plan review, plan approval, and then construction. So following those discussions, they looked at the agreement, and there's a deadline in the agreement that was approved a couple of months ago for an inspection period, which comes up later this week. They are not, and then to further that, ultimately the closing of the property is tied to that inspection date, no more than 190 days. Those dates are not going to work on the timeline that they see right now. The village approval process will take 2 or 3 months, as it typically does, going through staff review, a couple of iterations, and then to the planning and zoning, and ultimately to the village board for approval. And they're not concerned about the village process, but they are concerned about IDOT approval and their permits for the curb cut along Higgins, which is going to take some amount of discussions and involvement with the village and working with IDOT and the developer to gain that approval. Then there's always MWRD, which can be a wild card. Ultimately, those approvals they'd like to get by May. The closing date in the agreement as it stands now is in April. They don't see any way of achieving that short of a miracle from above. So what they're requesting is a 60-day extension of both the inspection period and the closing date, which would take the closing date till middle of June, which is something they feel that they can achieve, and they are confident that of that date, working again with staff to get through the approval process. So that's their request, which they have it put in the letter that was attached, and the amendment that's proposed, which really just changes those 2 dates. It's a rather simple amendment.
Putting you on the spot, Mark, but do you agree with their analysis?
Yes.
We definitely agree with the fact there's no way it could happen by April other than divine intervention. Whether or not it can still happen by June. We are having, the village and the owner are having significant problems with IDOT. I'm shocked. It reminds, for those of you that were here, it reminds me of Menards on Barrington Road all over again.
Yeah.
So we do need the additional time. We do agree that additional time is necessary.
Okay. Any other questions up here regarding this project? Anyone from the audience regarding this? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4, request approval for a contract extension for elevator inspection and plan review services to Elevator Inspection Service Company Incorporated of Burr Ridge, Illinois.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Again, Pete, or who wants to take this one?
I can do this. Actually, this year, we're simply looking for a 1-year extension of the existing contract based on the same exact terms that were established 3 years ago. With the intention, there's been some potential changes in the service providers of elevator inspections that we're still trying to understand. And EIS, who's the company that's been doing our inspections, has agreed that they would continue their basically continue doing what they've been doing for the past 3 years for an additional year. And our hope would be that over the course of the next year, we're able to evaluate more about what options are out there and actually go through a larger process where we could seek new contract proposals to see if there may be something more favorable that we'd want to do going forward. So we're just looking for a 1-year extension of the existing terms.
Any questions up here on the board? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 5, request acceptance of Department of Development or Development Services monthly report for Planning Division.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that? Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. 6, request acceptance of Department of Development Services monthly report for Code Enforcement Division.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And 7, request acceptance of Department of Development Services monthly report for Economic Development and Tourism.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that from anybody up here? Kevin, anything else you want to add? Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion and second, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. President's report.
Yes, had a great time at the Windy City Bulls Hoffman Estates Appreciation Night. They had a nice crowd. That was great. And on Saturday, that was Friday night, Saturday, the Mother Trucking Beer Fest was a sellout. They had to turn people away.
Were you there for that?
Oh, yeah, I stopped by for
Okay.
that, sure. Yeah.
Good.
The president of the Streamwood Park District and I had an intergovernmental agreement, and we agreed that beer is good. Streamwood Park District, just in case anybody's concerned. Last week, the clerk mentioned that there could be a problem with Illinois driver's licenses being valid to fly starting in January. That date's been extended until October 10th of 2018. So you're still okay with the Illinois driver's license till then. Hopefully, the state will get this thing straightened out with the federal government, but God only knows what will ultimately happen. But at least it's not next month, so that's good news. And happy birthday to Trustee Newell. It's coming Thursday. That's all I got.
Thank you. We have nothing in other or items in review, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
The motion and second, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned.
Go ahead and call the General Administration and Personnel Committee for Village of Hoffman Estates for December 11, 2017. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Arnett.
Present.
Vice Chairman Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Looking for a motion for the approval of minutes for November 13th, 2017.
So moved.
A second.
Any questions or corrections? Okay. Seeing nothing, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We have 5 new items under new business. Number 1 is discussion regarding 2018 Village Board and Standing Committees meeting schedule. Does staff have anything to add, or?
We'd like to walk you through it. There's 2 decision points that the board needs to make. The first is for a meeting coming rather quickly. The board would normally meet on, I believe it's January 2nd.
Well, January 1st.
January 1st, so obviously that's New Year's Day. So the choice would be January 2nd or January 8th. We've talked to the Finance Department. They're fine with going to January 8th from a bill payment standpoint, if that's what the board wants to do. But if
I'll
you
make
want
a
to meet.
motion for January 8th.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
The second one is that May is really kind of a difficult month because of all the religious holidays, 1 and 2, because of the Memorial Day and ICSC. So Memorial Day, the way that falls, we could, our recommendation is to meet on May 28th.
No, May 28th is the holiday,
Oh, right.
so May 29th.
See, I told you this was confusing.
May 21st?
Move it to June 4th.
I've gone through this 3 times with her, and it's still, wait. So May 28th is the holiday, so you can meet on either Tuesday, the 29th, or June 4th.
Which is what
How many
we did
Tuesdays
last
are
year.
there that month?
How many Tuesdays
I don't know
are
my
there?
calendar with me.
There's 4 Tuesdays in May 2018.
Only 4?
Yep.
Okay, then I can't do the 29th.
I'll make the motion that we meet on the 28th.
No, that's
That's
Monday.
Yeah, the 29th.
29th.
The what? The 29th?
What's the 21st?
Okay, so May,
The 21st is ICSC.
the 21st is ICSC, and that's why that one is, all the meetings are happening on May 14th. So you're meeting May 7th as your regular board meeting. Then on May 14th, you're having committees and a board meeting that night. Nothing on the 21st because of the ICSC, and then the 28th is the holiday.
Committee.
So the
Right.
committees could either meet on, it probably might make sense to throw the committees on June 4th and the board meeting immediately following.
I agree.
I'll make a motion to put the committees on June 4th, to be followed by the board meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then we would need a motion on the schedule as just recently amended.
I'll make a motion that we approve the schedule as most recently amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With the summer
Ayes have it.
schedule,
Mm-hmm.
right.
That's it on that item.
And then we're good on the 14th and the 17th of September.
Yeah, you got September, too.
I'm just asking.
Right.
Well,
But those are the
weren't
dates.
really choices, those were just.
That's
what we
normally how we
normally
would do it. So you
would
basically
do.
approve
Right,
that.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Committees here, do we have to approve those changes as well, or?
That's what the last motion just did.
Okay,
As previously stated.
all right.
So confusing.
For your birthday.
Item number 2, request approval of a resolution adopting a policy prohibiting sexual harassment for the Village of Hoffman Estates.
So moved.
Second.
The village has long had a policy against sexual harassment in our personnel policy manual, but with recent national exposure to the issue, the state legislature passed a law basically mandating, and there probably are some communities, municipalities, special districts that did not have a standing policy. We worked with Bill Picorni at Franzik, one of our labor attorneys, and he reviewed our policy. He said there were a couple things that needed to be added to the policy. It's in the personnel manual. This resolution accomplishes those additions. It does have to come forward publicly to be adopted, and then it will be put into the personnel policy manual.
Okay. Patrick, do you have anything to add? Anybody else have any questions? Or
I have one question. The
Trustee
ethics
Stan.
officer is the assistant village manager?
No, that's the village clerk, right?
It's interesting.
Right.
It is.
Okay.
anybody else have a question? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. Item number 3, request acceptance of cable TV monthly report.
So moved.
A second.
Questions or? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. Item number 4, request acceptance of human resources management monthly report.
So moved.
A second.
Questions or? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 5, request acceptance of legislative operations and outreach monthly report.
So moved.
A second.
Any questions or? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Anything more for the President's report, Mr. Mayor?
Nothing else, Trustee Arnett.
Okay, I see nothing in other, nothing in items in review. Can I have a motion for an adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are adjourned.
I'd like to call to order the Transportation and Road Improvement Committee for December 11th, 2017. Could the secretary please call the roll?
Chairman Mills.
Present.
Vice Chairman Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. Look for approval of the minutes November 13th.
So moved.
A second.
Is there any questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We only have one item this evening under new business, the request acceptance of Transportation Division monthly report.
So moved.
I'll second.
Anything you wish to highlight on this, Mr. Henke?
Just one
Barrington
thing.
Road still open?
It's still open, still there. We did send out the notification letter with the resident survey for the Alcoa, Washington residents, and those surveys are due back towards the end of next week. So we're on track to summarize everything and present it at the January 8th committee meeting.
Okay, that's probably an item that should be on here as items in review. It'll be coming up.
We can do that.
Okay, any other questions on the Transportation Monthly Report, Mayor?
Yeah, and realistically, Mike, are they gonna get the double turn lane going on to Hassel, and they're gonna get this done before spring? You've only got the one turn lane when you're heading south on Barrington, and it seems to be there. The
Yeah,
other,
it looks ready to go.
are they just gonna keep all these barricades up for the winter?
That's a good question.
You don't know any more about than I do, right?
Unfortunately, not a whole lot. There is some trenching work that's going on across Hassel Road. One of the big pieces is the signal equipment and underground work. So there's those steel plates across the road that need to be pavement underneath that needs to be fixed. And once that happens, then the receiving lanes on Hassel are there and can be opened up. I'll try to find out an answer. The best that we get from them is that the major road work should be done by the end of the year.
Well, I went to a party in the spring because the tollway was completed.
That was disappointing, yes.
They had a big press conference, didn't they?
Yeah, we did.
Tollway was done, it's just the other parts that are not. They did their part.
Just a little to add, I had emailed the construction manager, Steve Musser, on the project, inquiring specifically about the steel plates and our snow plows. And,
doesn't work real well.
Supposedly, the plates should be, they were hoping to have the steel plates removed this week. They just needed to, I guess, pass some compaction tests on the pavement, which that's his department, not mine. So, and I guess they weren't there yet. So they said the plates needed to stay. Our staff knows about them. We haven't gotten a significant snowfall. If we were getting 3 to 6 inches or something where the steel plates would be an issue and not be seen, we'd obviously have a lot more concern about it. But hopefully they get removed soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Palafis.
Mike, I see you guys report on the Roselle westbound entrance. I'm just gonna place bets whether that is done before Barrington Road. But it's saying late spring. I mean, did you?
Before Barrington Road.
Just saying.
How we define finished. Yeah. Yeah, they're actually summer of next year is what they're saying for Roselle,
Okay.
I suppose.
Anything else? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. President's report.
Nothing else, Trustee Mills?
Is there anything else to come before this committee? I see none, and next meeting, we should have the results of that survey if they are sent back in time, correct? Will we be re-notifying those homeowners?
That notification was in the letter that went with the
Okay.
survey.
All right, good. All right, look, at this point, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to call the Public Work and Utility Committee to order for December 11th. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Noel.
Present.
Vice Chairman Gata.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Okay, everyone accounted for in a quorum. Next item would be the approval of minutes from November 27th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any deletions, additions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. And under new business, we have 4 items. Item number 1 is request authorization to extend 2017 contract for 2018 contracted parkway tree trimming program to Winkler's Tree and Landscaping Incorporated out of LaGrange, Illinois, which is the low bid, in an amount not to exceed $50,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Nothing to add? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 2, request authorization to waive bidding and purchase a portable message board through Tapco Incorporated, which is out of Brown Deer, Wisconsin, using the U.S. Communities contract discount in an amount not to exceed $17,644.35.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Anything to add? Nothing? A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 3, request acceptance of the Department of Public Works monthly report.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Nivell?
We successfully lined the storm pipe going from Northview to the tollway. We had come to the board to ask permission to do that a few months ago. The company did it. We were able to review the video, and it turned out it was very, very successful. It looks pristine inside, so very, very good. We don't have to worry about it. It crosses the NICOR, the large diameter NICOR line, so doing an actual excavation anywhere in that area is wouldn't have been easy at all. So hopefully we got another 50 to 100 years out of it.
Excellent. Any questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 4, request acceptance of the Department of Development Services monthly engineering report of the Transportation and Engineering Division.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay, nothing to add. We have a motion and a second.
I
All
have
in favor?
questions.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Trustee Stanton?
The Burger King restaurant, the main event, and Trumpf, I keep seeing waiting as-built drawings. How long do we wait for these?
Well, we keep holding their project guarantee money, and we keep asking them, and we keep waiting till we get it, till we release all of their obligations from the project.
So we still have their money, but they don't want to produce the drawings. That really doesn't make a lot of sense. You'd think that they'd want to get paid.
Yeah, it always tends to be sometimes a difficult thing to get that last final closeout on some of the projects. But we do keep the guarantee in place until that's received and approved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no other questions, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Any additional President's report?
Nothing else, Trustee Noel.
Okay, thank you so much. Nothing under other or items in review. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, and we are adjourned.
I'd like to call to order the Public Health and Service Safety Committee, December 11, 2017. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Gata.
Present.
Vice Chairman Plouffe.
Present.
Trustee Noel.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you, and we have a quorum. Approval of the minutes of November 27, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any additions, corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Under new business, we have 5 items. Request approval to waive bidding and award a contract for purchase of 2018 Ferrara igniter pumper to Ferrara Fire Apparatus, Holden, L.A., in the amount of not to exceed $587,000. Chief? What would you like to add? What is the difference between an igniter pumper and a regular pumper?
Igniter is the manufacturer's Ferrara. The manufacturer's Ferrara, the igniter is just the model of the style of the pumper.
And the old one that I think I was reading in here is like 25 years old?
Actually, coming up on 26, it's spent, the current reserve engine 21 was a 1992 Pierce Arrow. It spent 13 years in service frontline at Fire Station 21 and is now coming up on approximately 13 years in reserve status.
Is that normal? Is that the normal life?
It's right around that normal life cycle right now.
Okay.
The current reserve engine 21, if you were to compare it to the current frontline fire apparatus, it's much smaller in size. Cabinet space is very restricted, very limited in its ability to carry EMS equipment. So the EMS equipment's stored in the cab area where it's secured and heated. That space is very, very limited in that reserve apparatus.
Trustee Gator, our policy prior to the recession was like 10 and 10, like 20 years total life. During the recession, it was edged out, and that's why we're around 25, 26-ish now.
Any questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation for the fire department to waive bidding and award the contract for 2018 for our igniter pumper to for our fire apparatus, Holden, Louisiana, in an amount not to exceed $587,000 by choosing the 100% prepay option.
Do I have a second?
So moved. Second. Sorry.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Request acceptance of the Police Department monthly report.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions up here? Chief, nothing to add? Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3, request acceptance of the Health and Human Services monthly report.
So moved.
I'll second.
Dr. Would you add anything to add? No? And from the board? Nothing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4, request acceptance of Emergency Management Coordinator monthly report.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And number 5, request acceptance of the Fire Department monthly report.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Chief, is there anything else you want to add? That's it. Yeah, Trustee Falafis?
You're not going to read any letters tonight?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
That was all.
And that's only because I don't have them in here.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I would read them.
That's the secret.
That's the secret, right? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. President's report?
Nothing else, Trustee Gator.
Okay, nothing in other items in review. Looking for an adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Last but not least, I'd like to call the Finance Committee to order tonight, December 11th, 2017. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Plofus.
Present.
Vice Chairman Newell.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Trustee Mills. Present. Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
We have a quorum, thank you. We have 2 items under the approval of minutes. The first is November 21st, 2017, Special Finance.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions, comments, corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And I request a motion and a second for the approval of minutes for November 27th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments, corrections? All in favor, say aye.
I can't make that motion.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
missed that meeting.
We have a withdrawal motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Got a motion, and could I have a second?
Second, for the record.
Thanks. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Did you get all that? All right. We have 7 items under new business. The first is request approval of a resolution establishing hirebacks for police and fire personnel for the period January 1st through December 31st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Trustee Stanton?
How many higher backs do we have per year?
Quite a few. If you figure the arena is also part of the higher backs.
Okay.
Life Changers Church, Mariano's,
Yeah, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue
right.
every year.
It's a lot. And that doesn't include special events for not-for-profits where that's why you have a separate not-for-profit rate.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 2 is a request authorization to purchase excess property and liability insurance and excess workers' compensation insurance from Alliant American Brokerage Services.
So moved.
Yeah, motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Trustee Stanton?
You know, I noticed in the recommendation 1, it talks about a total fixed cost of $306,065, and yet on page 2 of our pamphlet to us indicates a total premium of $376,257, which reflects a 5% decrease. So, I mean, I'm kind of confused. What is the amount that we're supposed to be spending here?
Well,
Because there's also another $20,702 for, what was it, the cyber insurance coverage.
Well, the amount is $306,065. It's, we added up some different things in the far right column. We didn't include the excess property liability premium of $82,000. So the various items that we added up total the $306,65.
What are we getting for that now?
We're getting our property liability package, which includes crime, underground storage tank, Sears property liability, liquor liability, cyber liability.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? It's good to see we're covering cyber now.
Yes.
Not that Fred would let that happen to us, but just in case.
I didn't have to talk him into it.
You didn't have to talk. Good. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 3 is a request authorization to enter into an agreement for bond counsel and possibly disclosure counsel legal services with Lewis F. Kanker, LTD, for the upcoming bond refunding anticipated to take place in FY 2018.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 4 is a request authorization to declare $16,182,608.01 as the developer and taxing district allocation for tax levy year 2016 within the EDA Special Tax Allocation Fund, and direct the treasurer to remit said funds to developer and taxing districts per PA 097-0636.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 5 is a request acceptance of the Finance Department monthly report.
So moved.
There's a request for
We have a
deferral, I
request-
understand.
Sorry,
Oh.
you're so fast. It's a request for deferral.
So moved.
Second for the
Motion.
deferral.
And a second to defer.
Yes.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 6 is a request acceptance of the Information Systems Department monthly report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 7 is a request deferral for the acceptance of the Sears Center monthly report.
Second.
The referral.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. President's report?
Nothing else, trustee Palafis?
We have nothing in other, no items in review. I will entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. We're adjourned.